What is up, wrestling fans? Oh, we're in for a doozy one here because the Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Royal Rumble 2023 post-show is coming your way right now. We are going to be breaking down what happened on the event as part of the latest, of course, episode of the Smark at Moment Smack Talk podcast, which means I am Tony Mango, joined by Robert DeFelice.
Hey, everyone.
And Callum Wiggins.
Hello. And
all the people that are in the chat right now. I see we got a couple people filing in. We got Frankie, we got Brandon, we got Peter, we got Christopher, we got Marcos, we got True WWE Champion, we got some other people, teams popping up here and there. I'm going to read that as time goes on. And anybody else that pops up later on or anybody that pops up after the fact, thank you for joining us for this edition. Man, we got a lot to talk about because a lot got packed into this card. It's 12:30 in the morning. I had my original post for this set up at 10:58 or something, because I was like, I don't know, maybe it'll end around 11. Nope, not even close. But we got some really good stuff to talk about. We got some not so good stuff to talk about as well. I see Ted's in the chat now. Michael's in the chat. What's up, everybody? Drop your thoughts in the comments there. You got those super chats and everything too to take advantage of, and you got plenty other things that you can do to have a little fun with this. I'm feeling good overall. I got a really bad ulcer right now, right on the back of one of my teeth, so that's making it a little bit hard to talk, but I'm ignoring it for this. How are you guys feeling?
I feel pretty energized, pretty happy with what we got overall.
I'd say conflicted is probably the best word to describe it.
Further elaboration on that, or just when we get to the matches?
So basically it boils down to some stuff was really good and some stuff leaves me again questioning that I probably should stop watching WWE.
Well, for anybody that's wondering if Callum's going to be like, oh, I hate the fact that Gunther was really good in the match and that's what it is, that's not what he's talking about. No, I think we're all kind of in agreement. The way we were talking a little bit through just like Facebook chats and stuff, I think the three of us are kind of on the same page about a lot of this, where the negatives are pretty much going to be about the negatives for everybody else. The positives are pretty much going to be the same. And I think actually overall, a lot of other people are going to agree to that too. I will try to be reading this throughout the night. So if you guys disagree with us, let us know as well too. Yeah. But I think basically what I had seen from a few other people, most people are in agreement that certain things did its job. Certain things were underwhelming. Certain things were flat out stupid. And maybe not necessarily that they thought that it was going to be great. So it's kind of like, I knew that was coming, But my energy level's pretty high. I'm not feeling like one of those crown jewel, was it 2018 or something, 2019, where it's just like, rant city. I see we got a super chat from Chris here. Very curious as to the Mania plans. Thank you, Chris, for that. I think we're heading in the same direction as what we were talking about for a lot of this. I guess I would say I'm not too surprised, despite the fact that there were some surprises on this card. You guys feeling a little bit like shook up? As they say that, I hear something smack in the background.
Yeah, you heard me just jiggle a controller. No. I think everything I pretty much expected to happen on this card happened on this card. And I'll say this. The things that I thought were stupid were, but I also think that they did their job in that way. I'm not sure. I'm not the audience for those things. But for the most part, as it pertains to the Royal Rumble matches themselves, big thumbs up for me.
No, I'm not particularly surprised about how any direction they went with it.
So we got a super chat from Frankie. Asuka, that's all. She's a positive for the night, that's for sure. We got some positives talking about Gunther. We got some positives talking about the final segment, which, of course, very important segment for what's going forward with WrestleMania. I see Emilio's in the chat, too. What's up, Emilio? Men's Rumble was fun. Women's Rumble was boring besides the last 10 minutes. Pitch Black match could have been a segment instead, etc., etc. Let's kind of rewind everything, go start at the beginning here, and start about the kickoff, which had Not too much to talk about. One of the things, though, I will say every single year that is just one of my negatives, and it's not, of course, the most important thing in the world, but it's one of those nitpicks that I'll mention because I'm like that. If you listen to the A Review to a Kill series, I'll nitpick the fucking gun barrel, the James Bond franchise. Of course, I'll nitpick that they still don't have the tumbler, that gold basket tumbler that they used to have for picking the numbers. I don't like this little envelope hanging on the wall kind of thing. It's not as dynamic, and it's a little weird for people to just be like opening up an envelope and going, okay, that's my number, and then walking away.
I don't know. It's the same shit. I'm glad that they did something. I like the tumbler better myself, of course.
Yeah, give me the Big O tumbler.
I think that it's at least something.
It's better than nothing. At least they showed that people are picking their numbers instead of other years where they just said that's what's happened behind the scenes, and we don't even need to bother to pretend like it happened and all. Couple things that happened throughout there, again, like, not super important. Gabriel Iglesias pops up and he has like 3 different people that he wants to win the Royal Rumble and all. But Roman Reigns tells the Usos to stay back tonight. He definitely wants Sami Zayn to be ringside, though, for his final test. And we start off the pay-per-view with Pat McAfee coming back, joining the commentary team. And I thought, oh, fuck, Pat McAfee's number 1? So I started writing up a couple things like that. Then I was like, no, okay, wait, he's being on the commentary team. That's a different story. I like Pat being back.
They had a lot of fun, those 3, Corey, Michael Cole, and Pat, to the point where at some point during the show, they were just dunking on people, and it was just hysterical for me. I thought that they actually added to the fun environment, even if at times it was a little overbearing. I thought it was overall good energy.
I thought he was incredibly obnoxious the entire night. But they just wouldn't shut up for a second, and it was pissing me off. And I hate commentary at the best of times. At least it again, I'm glad if those guys had fun, because I certainly wasn't listening to them.
Mostly from the McAfee side, or all 3 of them?
Well, McAfee clearly hasn't been following the product since he left, because he was just spouting out a load of like bollocks throughout the entire thing. He kept calling, like, he knows like inside of things, so he knows that you're not supposed to call Sheamus and Drew McIntyre the Banger Bros anymore, so he kept calling them the Banger Bros. It's just, okay, like, you're a rebel, get it. You played to the edge a little bit more. It's like, yeah. Actually call the match,
Well, he was not the entry number 1 that I thought that he was at first. But when that had happened and Pat McAfee popped up, I was like, oh my God, I didn't think about Pat McAfee being in the Royal Rumble. And I was kicking myself thinking I just wasted a pick that I could have gotten correctly. And of course, it didn't end up happening. So, hey, look at that. But it didn't help out all that much in my grand scheme of my picks, because I'll spoil this. I haven't figured everything out yet for the predictions contest. I'm still calculating a lot of numbers because, believe it or not, hey, when 30 people pick like 90 things worth of picking, it's kind of hard to do that while you're doing the coverage. But I can tell you I'm doing a piss poor job on the men's side, so I don't think I'm going to end up winning this one overall. But I'm going to try to get those numbers throughout this podcast. I'm going to work on that here and there. We'll see. Entry number 1 instead was Gunther, and number 2, Sheamus. So we're revisiting the feud that they had at Clash at the Castle. Can't go wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
Callum, I imagine, was over the moon at this. As soon as I saw Gunther, my mind went, oh God, I hope number 2 is Brock Lesnar. But the Sheamus moment was good. And actually, Sheamus was one of the rocks of this whole thing. And obviously we'll talk about Gunther's performance, but I think this was a great first 2.
Yeah, 2 good choices to start the Rumble.
Then we had Sheamus followed up by The Miz, then Kofi Kingston, Johnny Gargano. Got our first elimination with The Miz, taken out by Sheamus. Xavier Woods follows that up. Then Woods and Kingston set up this idea that they're going to start fighting each other, and instead they do what Michael Cole referred to as the wheelbarrow butt slapper.
Funny.
Maneuver of the year for sure. I'm watching it with Caroline, and yeah, 'cause she's helping me out. I'm like, hey, can you just like kind of double check that I'm not missing anything? If like, you know, I'm typing out on 5 different spreadsheets and 20 different things here. If it's like, oh, who was the one that just eliminated that one and all. So when they start kind of circling each other, I'm like, they're going to do something stupid. She's like, well, what makes you say that? And I'm like, just watch. Then they did that. I'm like, all right, I wasn't expecting that quite, but I thought they would have done something a little bit, you know, a little bit on the fun side. But Karrion Kross comes out after that, Chad Gable after that, Drew McIntyre after that, and Karrion Kross gets taken out by Drew McIntyre. So he should logically have been a guy that could have been, you know, a pretty dominant performer in this match. And he gets taken out after 2 more people come out. And not the best showing for Karrion Kross. No eliminations, taken out by McIntyre. Are we in the spot where he's kind of like, maybe we shouldn't really be trying to predict anything for him at WrestleMania, and they'll just throw him in anywhere if they get an opportunity?
That is correct, yes.
It feels like it, right?
If he's in the Andre, it's a thumbs up at this point.
Hey, if there's an Andre, we don't even know for sure. Last 2 years it was on SmackDown, right?
Exactly.
Double checking some of the stuff in this chat. I was really worried he was going to be in the match. I'm assuming that that's McAfee. I thought of that too. Does Pat not even watch wrestling? Pat said first that he saw the NXT superstars.
I think that's fine. Like, he's an outsider as is. I'm not mad that he didn't keep up with the product. You know?
I don't expect him to have, like, you know, all the insider information and all, but he definitely wasn't quite up to snuff. I see a lot of people saying that Karrion Kross definitely booked weak, dead in the water. Frankie says, I wonder who those guys were that Triple H was disappointed in.
Yeah, that's, as an overall statement, I would like to say, as I said to you guys privately, that Triple H rehires didn't look phenomenal here. Like, Gargano legit was in the match for 30 minutes. He was down on the ground for most of it. So like I didn't get any standout Johnny Gargano moments. Just the Triple H rehires did not do much in this match. And I think that's okay, because I still think we got a great match. But, you know, it's just easy to see that maybe these, you know, people aren't setting the town on fire, you know what I mean?
There were only 2 rehires in this entire match, which probably is the biggest indication of anything that they're not really working out, because you only put 2 of them in there and they both really do basically nothing.
Right, like Loomis wasn't even in there.
I'm surprised Loomis wasn't, yeah. There were a few surprises here, because not only were there some people that pretty obviously should have been in the match, like, I mean, Loomis has been featured on TV quite a bit, but even somebody like Madcap Moss was advertised, and they didn't put him in there.
That's right, yeah.
So we're going to get to some of those things, because there's an empty spot in this match, too, so that's kind of dumb.
Well, because here's no, they advertised Woods last night, and then they didn't advertise Woods today, and then Woods ended up being in the match.
Which is the type of thing that baffles me, because you're planning this stuff ahead of time. Like, you can't just not be doing that. So you've got like a spreadsheet, or you got some kind of, you got something that you're tracking here. And then you kind of keep losing track of that. And I don't really know how that happens. I still kind of think that maybe they need to rethink that position that I had sent them their application for, where they had script supervisor, and then they decided we don't need that job, and then they got rid of the job entirely. But yeah, no Bronson Reed, no Matt Riddle for here, but then again, he wasn't advertised, so you know, no Madcap Moss, like saying. But Karrion Kross, Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre, carry on. Santos Escobar, Angelo Dawkins, didn't expect him to be in the match. Woods gets eliminated by Gunther, and Kofi gets knocked out of the ring, and botches saving himself again. It's not good.
It's just time to retire it. Well, it's either you retire it, or you build his whole portion of the next Rumble, saying, can he get it right this time? But basically, for Kofi, it's no longer a case of he enters the Royal Rumble with actually any intention of winning it. It's to make sure that when he does get thrown out, he gets to save himself this time.
And they clearly botched it. I think he was supposed to land on the chair and, stay. But they had an out. They had an interesting out where it was like one foot was up, and if they wanted to fuck around with it, I'm sure they could have like Woods, keep his foot up and then lift him up. But nobody cared because the next person was Brock Lesnar. So, no one's looking at you anyway. Just get out of here.
Yeah, it felt really weird because they were trying to, kind of paint that narrative, and they were going like, well, he's got his foot up and who knows, whatever. So I even wrote it down on here. I'm like, Kofi might have been eliminated by Gunther, but he might not have because the foot thing, and it just never became another factor. So the best case scenario with this, which sounds really awful, is that he would have probably done something that he's already done before. I think they are completely out of ideas because I think twice now he's done something with the chair, and I think Naomi did something once, if not twice. So if you don't have any other ideas, and if you can't pull them off, maybe in 2024 we shouldn't be even trying, It's kind of a shame. Sees Brandon agreeing. I think it's time to leave the Royal Rumble spots, save spots in the past. Yeah, Brock Lesnar comes out, though, and I started typing, is eliminated by Brock Lesnar, because I'm like, I'm just going to have to do that. And he takes out Escobar, he takes out Dawkins, he takes out Chad Gable. And in typical Royal Rumble trope fashion, entry number 13 is Bobby Lashley, who, after a couple seconds or so, is able to get Brock Lesnar out of the match. And that makes him furious. So he attacks a ringside official. He tosses the top of the commentary table into the ring, and he attacks entry number 14, Baron Corbin. So Baron Corbin is laid out enough that when entry number 15 comes out, Seth Rollins is able to pretty quickly just eliminate Baron Corbin. And I don't know if at this point, if he has the shortest time in the Royal Rumble right now. I don't think so. There is one technicality, but I think it might be someone else. It kind of depends. It's one or other, him or Elias, that has the shortest time. At least according to Wikipedia, Baron Corbin is at 6 seconds, but they also have Gunther's time wrong. So pay attention to smarkoutmoment.com, because I will figure it out at some point and have the right information.
There was a couple. It was almost like a race for the bottom here for the quickest elimination, because I think at the end of it, they wanted it to go to Corbin, but there were a couple people that were just in and out. So I couldn't tell by the end of it.
I'm almost positive Baron Corbin still was out quicker technically, because usually they don't count when you're outside of the ring, right?
Yeah.
Like if you go in there, it's like, okay, your official entrant is
in and then just throw him out.
Yeah, so about sub 10 seconds or so. I don't know if it's going to come out to 6 seconds, but Baron Corbin right now is what I currently have on my list for the shortest elimination. So 3 people had gotten that right. Richard, Jalen, and Dylan. Good job on those. Moving on from that point, after Baron Corbin gets eliminated, Otis comes out. Made my wife crack up a lot. She's like, he looks like he's an egg trying to walk with shit in his pants. And then entry number 17 is supposed to be Rey Mysterio. And here's one of my biggest gripes of the entire night. Rey doesn't come out. Bobby Lashley gets eliminated by Seth Rollins in the meantime, and entry number 18 comes out, and it's Rey Mysterio's mask on Dominic. And they don't bother to show Rey attacked backstage. They don't bother to have Rey come back out during the Royal Rumble to eliminate Dominic or anything. Nothing. So why did you waste a spot?
I told you they were going to do this, didn't I? I said, Dominic might just jump Bray so they don't have to fight. They didn't show it. That's essentially what they did.
Now, I wouldn't have been like, hey, get rid of this spot and Madcap Moss comes in and that's the greatest thing in the world. But, I mean, there's NXT guys.
They're going to Mania. I'm not mad at it.
I think I would have at least booked it probably more so Dominic's not confirmed for the Royal Rumble. Rey Mysterio's number gets taken by Dominic, and then you got one other person in there and use that for like an NXT guy or something. Just because one of the things I had that was an issue with this match is I felt like there weren't enough surprises, and this was not the good type of surprise. This was just now you're one less person down and you've got 80 other people that could have fit in there. What did you think about it, Callum? Yeah or nay?
No, who cares? In the general scheme of things, it's like they should have just shown him getting beaten up. I don't really care that wasn't in the match because he wouldn't have done anything anyway. But it's just they should have shown him beaten up, or he should have eliminated Dominic afterwards. If they are building towards Mania, this is a shitty way of doing it, but that's kind of part of the course at the moment.
Ted agreeing with agreed. No one taking Ray's spot. Emilio saying something that I'll talk back on later because I definitely 100% agreed on this, Emilio. So eventually we get Otis eliminated by Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, and this was one of my favorite stories of the night. Sheamus and Drew working together. Later on, we had something for the women's match too, which was very short, but I liked the story of people being tag team members working together because they should. That's the whole fucking point. Is like, why wouldn't you want your friend to win? If maybe if it's down to the two of you, of course you're going to try to beat them, but at the same time, why wouldn't you keep your ally in the match? So having multiple times where Sheamus is like saving Drew and Drew is saving Sheamus and they're working together, I thought that worked out really well. Didn't work out well for Elias. He pops up at number 19 and he gets taken out about 39 seconds or so afterward by Sheamus and Drew. So he got his guitar spot in. It's about good enough. Finn Balor follows that up. Johnny Gargano gets taken out by Dominic and Finn. And our big surprise of the Royal Rumble, essentially, number 21 is Booker T. He does...
Don't do that.
For me or Colin?
Surprise is Booker T. Don't do that.
No, it's our big surprise. What are you talking about?
I mean, he did his thing. He looks... First of all, Booker T looks good.
Yeah, he looks pretty good. I mean, he's obviously like moving slower and all, but like he's... I mean, all things considered, he hasn't been wrestling in God knows how many years. Like, he came out there, he did what he needed to do. He did a spin-a-rooney and immediately got eliminated right afterward, which he's done, I think, like 6 times now. Like, that's the Royal Rumble spot for Booker, which is I get the pop, I do my couple of kicks, I do the spin-a-rooney, and then somebody throws me out. And this time around, it was Gunther. Nothing on this, guys.
No. It's like, who cares that an old guy just got through out the ring? He did like a couple of his old spots in a really shitty way, and then did his shitty spin-a-rooney, and then he got eliminated.
Yeah, I said what I needed to say. I said Booker looks good. What do you want?
I don't know. Anything other than, hey, it's a thing. But anyway, it's a thing.
That's what this whole Rumble was. What do you expect me to say? Everything until like the final 10 minutes of this Rumble was just guy comes in, does some shit for a little while, and then just waits for them to be eliminated. That's the entire Rumble.
And my excuse on top of that is I'm also still listening to Cody Rhodes talk about winning the Rumble. But yes, Booker T was there and he did what he had to do.
Chat it up in the comments. Did you like Booker T popping up, or do you think that that was more of an underwhelming thing, whatever it might be? Damian Priest,
real unconventional guest appearance in these Rumbles.
For Booker T?
Yeah, it's like, God, that's so weird. They had someone who's, works for the company.
And has been in multiple one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damian Priest follows that up. Montez Ford follows that up. He gets eliminated pretty quickly by Damian Priest, so I don't really see the point again, look, I like Montez Ford, I like Angelo Dawkins, I like Chad Gable, I like Otis. I'm all down for giving these guys a spot, but at the same time, I kind of feel like if you've got the opportunity to do something interesting in the Royal Rumble and you just kind of put a guy in there to get quickly thrown out, and it's not even something like, hey, it's Booker T or something, like, why did Montez Ford have to come in here and get tossed out within 90 seconds? Couldn't that have been maybe somebody else? Yeah,
because he was a warm body.
Some ways it feels like that. And then I look at like a Grayson Waller and I'm like, that would have meant so much more if it would have been somebody like that. Or we'll talk about it for some of the other people. But number 24 is Edge, which your mileage may vary, but to me, that is not something that I consider like, whoa, it's Edge, because he's a part of the roster now. And we knew that he was going to be back eventually. He's not injured for real. So this is pretty self-explanatory, and it's not even all that entertaining because he takes out Damian Priest and he takes out Finn Balor, and then Balor and Priest gang up on him, eliminate him after they've been eliminated. Rhea Ripley comes out. She gets attacked by Beth Phoenix, who we don't see for the rest of the night. And I think that this was all pretty underwhelming, and I don't care to see this continue, just the same as I've been saying before. I do not want to waste more time. If Edge has very few matches left on his career, which is what he kind of indicated, why do I want to see him just fight Finn Balor again? This guy's had this guy for an entire year. Move on, do something else. You got Ciampa and Gargano and these new people and these older signings and these other people that you could bring in, and it's just Judgment Day.
So I've been very honest in the past and said Edge is my favorite wrestler, and I stand by that, but I've also reached a point of apathy with this run. It's not what I wanted, and I think that he is just at a point now where he's picking and choosing his spots. It clearly means a lot to him to work with Beth.
I understand.
I think that this story's gone on too long. I'm of the belief that he hasn't really wrestled Finn that much, but I think that they've allowed too much time to elapse in between these story beats to where it's like, shit, this feels like it's gone on forever. And that, I think, is the issue. But ultimately, if that's the story he wants to tell, if he's dead set on just making sure he gets Priest, Ripley, Dom, and Finn a boost, I'll watch along for the ride.
You guys think we're getting Edge versus Finn at WrestleMania?
No. Yep. I don't, actually. I think it'll be over by Amber.
I'm thinking we're getting at Elimination Chamber. I think we're getting Edge and Beth against maybe Finn and Rhea. And then I think we're getting Edge and Finn again at Mania in Hell in a Cell.
Something like that, or some sort of gimmicky match, yeah.
There is that whole thing where they want to do a Hell in a Cell. So maybe if they're dead set on it, then fine. But I also think that there's potential for it to just be over after the next tag.
I've been wanting it to be over since it's like July or something. I think I've not been the biggest fan of this. So, Beth popping up and it's like, oh, cool, Beth is attacking Ripley. I'll be looking forward to seeing her later. And that's it. And number 25 is Austin Theory. Number 26 is Omos. Number 27 is Braun Strowman, who eliminates Omos pretty quickly. Ricochet is number 28. We start kind of thinning the herd a little bit here. Sheamus gets taken out by Gunther. Drew gets taken out by Gunther. Number 29 is Logan Paul. And number 30 is Cody Rhodes. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Cody Rhodes being number 30. I know that they probably were thinking, hey, that's the big return. So that's going to be the way that we finish this. And that's going to be like, we're building up to that. But I kind of feel like it's a little cheap. And
I think ultimately maybe they did it so he wouldn't have to test the injury too hard.
I would say that,
then
but
why
then
would you
they
put him in the ring with Gunther for the
But
entire?
then,
Yeah.
actually, it's funny that I say that and that you say that because that's exactly what he said at the press conference.
Oh, really?
That I felt great to be back, but then they didn't because Gunther. But I'm also of the belief that if you were just gonna have him come out at 30 anyway, maybe you didn't need to announce it. You know, I think they were announcing it so he could come out at 1 and do the whole big spiel.
And I mean, he didn't have to do the whole thing like that, but maybe have him come out at like lucky number 27 to have like a little bit of fate to that, or because they kept saying like, is this Destiny pick and all this? So, but even like number 28, number 29, you know, some kind of variation of that just to change it up a little bit. Because when it was Cody Rhodes was one of the few people that was like, he's definitively in this match according to what they're promoting. And when you've already set that up ahead of time and you're counting down the numbers, and I'm looking at like, we're at number 24 here, we're at number 25, and I know that these couple of people haven't come out yet. It got to a point where I'm like, okay, well then Cody's number 30. So then the big surprise of, oh my God, number 30 is Cody. We all know he's the guy left. So that kind of, I don't know. And for anybody who is thinking that we're crapping on the idea of Cody Rhodes winning this, that's not the case, or at least not my case. I am very happy that Cody Rhodes is in this position. I'm very happy that the crowd didn't shit on this, but I just feel like it's kind of a weak booking scenario. Like I question why they thought they needed to put him at number 30, but nevertheless, Dominic stuck around for a long ass time. And this is what Emilio was talking about and what I agreed with. The longer he was out there, the longer I'm thinking, oh, that's because Ray's going to come out and he's going to screw Dominic, and then that's going to be like, okay, that's a big moment. And instead, Cody just takes him out. I'm like, why did Dominic stick around for so long? Is it just because they know that he's got heat and they think it's funny? Or do you think that they're like kind of buying into the scenarios and they're kind of like, well, Dominic's going to be one of our main guys we're pushing going forward?
Ultimately, go ahead, Cal.
I think he's a heat magnet at the moment, and so in order to make sure that Cody was getting cheered, because even though at the end of the day there wasn't anything wrong with people cheering for Cody, like nobody was hijacking it or going with Sammy chants, but maybe they thought that just in case people were a little bit testy about that, they would have him throw out the biggest heel in the company right now, so he would get cheered for it.
Could be that, yeah. I think that's what happened with somebody else a little bit later on. The cool spot here,
like, he did fine in the role, though. I thought he was actually, he is getting very comfortable in this role, and he is one of the guys that gets a reaction. So I didn't mind having him out there that long. I was surprised by it, honestly, but I didn't mind it.
So after that, another cool spot that evoked a holy shit chant from the crowd. Logan Paul and Ricochet do a springboard, and they, from opposite sides of the ring, collide with each other with a really good smack. I really like that a lot.
I audibly said, oh my God, I think this is the coolest fucking thing. And I think as long as everything stays on the up and up, you'll see this clip in packages forever and ever and ever. It was really good.
Yeah, it was the best spot in the match by a country mile.
Arguably best spot of the night.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So that is one of those things that leads into a series of eliminations. Braun Strowman gets taken out by Cody. Ricochet gets taken out by Austin Theory. Theory gets taken out by Cody Rhodes. There is a little bit of that tease of, hey, we forgot about this one guy, because they start saying the final four was Cody, Gunther, Seth Rollins, and Austin Theory. And I'm thinking to myself, nobody took out Logan Paul, right? And then next thing you know, Logan Paul's back in the mix. So at that point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, it seems like it's probably going to be Cody and Seth at the end. And Logan Paul and Gunther are there to, kind of fill out a little bit of that. And I'm like, yeah, I think I got this kind of down, except for the Gunther thing. I'm surprised about that. And Rollins gets eliminated by Logan Paul. Now I'm starting to go, oh, is it Rollins and Logan Paul at Mania?
Yeah, that's why they did it, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
What else were you gonna do?
I'm not opposed to it. That's the thing, because there's a couple of people that I had in mind that I'd like to see Logan Paul go up against. Brock Lesnar being one of the main ones, but clearly Brock is with Bobby Lashley and they're just beating that drum for like the 7th time, I think. And just, hey, that's where we're going. Fucking strap yourselves in. It's a thing. So you cross that off the list. I still don't think that John Cena versus Logan Paul is on the schedule for WrestleMania. I think if John Cena pops up, it's going to be Austin Theory. No teasers.
Keep saying the champ is here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what makes the most sense to me. And Logan Paul is an easy guy to hate for that kind of thing, to switch over with Seth Rollins. They can have their promos. They can have these flamboyant costumes against each other and all. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I don't know why I didn't have that on my list of like, or at least I don't think I do. I don't know. If you go to smarkmemo.com, I might, on my list of like potential Logan Paul matches, but you got to put that down on your list now. Is like, seems like that's kind of a lock. Logan Paul gets eliminated by Cody Rhodes. And that was another spot where I'm like, all right, they kind of make him look like a jerk so that Cody can eliminate him. It's another good thing. And I'm expecting Cody to eliminate Gunther in about 45 seconds or so. And they must have fought for like a good 5-6 minutes, maybe. I loved it.
Yeah, again, and basically from Logan Paul's entrance onwards, the Rumble was actually very good because you had those series eliminations, you had that cool spot with Logan and Ricochet. And then a good way to end a Rumble is by having pretty much a one-on-one match for a while. And you say it goes about 5-6 minutes. I think you're probably underselling it. I think it was closer to 10.
Might be. Right now, according to Wikipedia, there aren't any times for everybody past Montez Ford. I don't know why. But once we figure out how long Cody was in the match, then we know a rough estimate of how long that was.
It was like they decided to go a slightly different route, which was Cody's been in there the shortest amount of time. Yet he's the one who's actually struggling the most against the guy who's been in the ring for 65 minutes at that point.
And out of all the people to be up against, it's like you had this torn pec and you're up against the guy that has the worst chops in the roster right now. Like, that sucks, I
mean, it's the classic storyline beat, which is the American underdog babyface comes in at the last possible moment of the match and beats up the evil foreigner who's been out there for the entire match and is doing really well. I was actually surprised that not that Cody did get cheered when he did eventually win and eliminate Gunther, because the crowd do love Cody, and so there's no issue there. It was just a case of like, I was surprised that people didn't turn on Cody and start cheering for Gunther, because Gunther was doing a really good job. Like, he'd been there the entire match, and it's just maybe it is, again, they're in Texas, so probably it was just a case of he's foreign, so we don't like him.
Oh, I tell you, my wife was like, "Boo, Gunther deserved it. He was there the longest." She was getting invested in that Iron Man type story.
Yeah, it's backwards. It should have been, like, realistically, it should have been Cody's number 1 and Gunther's number 30.
Mm-hmm.
You tell that story that way. It's just a bit of a backwards way of doing it. But,
and again, to say that doesn't mean that we're not a fan of Gunther doing a really good long stint. Because, I mean, this guy is now the longest traditional Royal Rumble Iron Man winner. He is 5 minutes about shy of the Daniel Bryan record from the greatest Royal Rumble, which is, it's to be 5 minutes shy of that is very, very close. His time, according to Michael Cole, was 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 25 seconds.
He later said 35. I just want to point that out.
35? Well, Wikipedia's got him at like 40 something. So I'm like, we're all over the place here. He's 1:11:25, 1:11:35, 1:11:42. He's definitely an hour and 11 minutes. And then however many seconds. So, eventually they're going to settle on some sort of number and we'll get around to that. But the only person that beats him is Daniel Bryan at 1:16:05. Rey Mysterio's record before was 1:02:12. So not bad at all. And especially considering he almost had the most eliminations of this match too. It's pretty close.
He did have the most eliminations.
Cody has 5.
Yeah, Gunther has 5.
He has 5 as well. Do I not have this set up the right way? I've got him at Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre.
He also eliminated Booker T.
Do I not have Booker T on this list? It looks like I don't have Booker T on there. So, yep. Booker T added on there. Gunther tying for most eliminations then. Yeah. Good call on that. Let me double check that sheet. Most eliminations.
Well, so the problem is you were just so excited by Booker T's entrance that you missed his exit.
Well, I had him down for a couple other things, but I think I just kind of missed a little bit here and there.
It does feel like you could build a good story out of this if and when Cody eventually does win the World Championship, that Gunther could be a very obvious challenger for him by basically saying, well, I would have won that. Well, we had that like classic at the end of the Royal Rumble, and the only reason you beat me is because you came in last and I would have already been there for over an hour. So yeah, that's just a feasible way of doing it.
Because I think with Cody in the title picture now, we could start reasonably thinking about maybe
Mania next year.
pay-per-views having title matches again. You know, it's not just going to be, all right, how do you get to SummerSlam? How do you get to, you know? At least I hope not. I said that last year with Roman.
Yeah.
Bite my tongue.
So that leads us to Cody Rhodes winning the Royal Rumble. And positive responses. I'm totally down for that. I have calculated now all of the men's side of things. So, certain people, I don't have a full number of what they got for the women's including, but I know that some people got some things right. Like Callum got the winner right, and most eliminations. You got 2 of the final 4. You got, let's see what you got for the entrances. You got Baron Corbin dead on, and Braun Strowman dead on, and Logan Paul dead on.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely better than what I got, because I got Cody as the winner. I got 3 of the final 4. And as far as entrances go, I only got Elias and Logan Paul within 1. So I didn't get anybody dead on. And those are the only ones that I came anywhere close with. So,
and I forfeited because it was a busy day. I didn't get the fucking chance to fill it out. Whatever. I was losing anyway.
So Callum's winning when it comes to that front. We'll try to balance out some of these other numbers as well. We got some other people that got some things pretty good on here. Let's see some other people that got some dead on things, just to kind of shout them out. We got, let's see, Samuel guessed Sheamus correctly, and not many other people actually got some dead on ones. I mean, there was a few here and there. The Miz was guessed correctly by TQ. Frankie got Kofi Kingston right on the money. Actually, funny enough, 1, 2, 3, 4 different people, Callum included, got Baron Corbin at number 14. So I'm curious what was like number 14 about that ended up being the case. But, obviously there's, you guys aren't like conspiring to do that here and there. But Hebman got that correct. And so did, let's see here, Giancarlo and Michael Patrick. So we got Rey Mysterio dead on. Didn't really matter in the grand scheme, but it's still going to count anyway. Another person got Dominic. Somebody got Booker T at number 21. Imagine that. Specifically
Good
guessing
you,
that
you are.
That was, let's see, this is number 25 on this sheet. That was Rub's Bald Spot. Good name for that.
Good.
Okay. A couple with Braun Strowman, a couple with Logan Paul, Cody Rhodes being number 30. Somebody had got that. It was, most people were guessing Cody towards that beginning range, but Connor guessing him for number 30. Good job with that one. So again, numbers will be calculated a little bit later on. There's just like way too many for me to try to do.
Because you're the stats man, real quick. Cody's now the 4th person to win at number 30.
Cody is the 4th person to win at number 30. Also, and if you go to the stats page on smarkmo.com, you'll see that some things are labeled. This statistic has not been updated for 2023. Those are the things I haven't done yet.
I am wrong. He's now the 5th person because Hunter did it in 2016. I keep forgetting that.
So it's it's 5 people have won from number 30. I'm looking at the list right now. 4 people have won from number 1, number 27, and number 28.
Oh.
So, and that's, partially because of the Rhea Ripley thing. But this also means that 2007, 2008, John Cena and Undertaker, and 2022, 2023 are the times that the same Royal Rumble winner won back-to-back. And it's all number 30. So 4 out of the 5 number 30 wins were back-to-back Royal Rumbles. It's kind of interesting that they just go, well, we did it last year. Let's do it again this time. And we're now at a range where there's other statistics like, that now it's 59% of the time somebody wins from number 21 to number 30, et cetera, et cetera. You can check that out on the page. I'm not going to sit there and bore everybody with math. But the Royal Rumble match leads us into the Pitch Black match. Mountain Dew sponsored match between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight, which was pretty much exactly the same.
This sucks, man.
How much do you hate me?
I hate you so much, you piece of shit. This sucked. In all honesty, it was some kind of weird sponsored thing that was just like, yay, glow in the dark Mountain Dew, and it was just weird. It was just dumb. No one's gonna ever think about this match ever again. It was just stupid. And it ended in 5 minutes, which, bless them, but it could have happened on SmackDown. Honestly.
Amelia was saying Naomi should have came out. Yeah, she should have just been dancing there on the thing. Help out with the glow. It's pretty much exactly what I expected it to be, which isn't good. It's a no DQ match. They have glow in the dark lighting effects. I expected worse, to be perfectly honest. I thought that they'd go with just dimming the lights, but just because they've got some glowy things out there, and they do.
It's not pitch black. It's a grape drink. It's purple. Why is it called pitch black? That's besides the point.
Should be Slurple purple or something.
No.
This black light, blue light, whatever type thing, it's not that fun, and it's a quick match, but that doesn't mean that it's it's good that they got it out of the way pretty fast, because nothing was really ended up being any good. And Bray Wyatt wins with his sister Abigail, and then he pulls out another mask, and I'm thinking, God damn it, dude, another fucking mask,
too, motherfucker.
It's just the same thing again. And he starts stalking LA Knight, who no-sells the sister Abigail at that point because they need to just walk to another area. And they walk to that area with Wyatt no-selling these kendo stick shots to the head just so he could get a mandible claw, lay down, and Uncle Howdy can pop up from the stage and jump off of it and completely miss LA Knight. They crash through these crash pads with the cardboard boxes and everything, and these shitty pyro effects go off, and then fire started from that, and this looked dumb.
Now I'm beginning to think about the stupid Wyatt sick stuff. Because not only was Howdy there, not only did he have another mask, but the puppets we're watching again, the life-size puppets. What is this? Callum, talk about it, because I know you hated it more than either of us.
I mean, I don't really want to go too much into it because it's not worth my breath to talk about how shitty Bray Wyatt is and how shitty all this stuff associated with him is, how everything that he decided to put together on TV is just an absolute crock of shit from his clearly warped mind. Like, he's clearly a creative guy and he should be playing his trade in B-movie horror movie films instead, or in some sort of directorial role. It clearly should not be in professional wrestling, or if it is in professional wrestling, they actually, fucking wrestle. Don't do what wrestlers do, which is wrestle. Don't just tell these really, at the same time, it's convoluted and yet nothing happens in these stories. It's the same way, it's this. Every story beat you put into it is overly complicated, but there's not. But then there's only a story beat every 4 weeks or so, and so it's both glacially slow and too complex, or too high level thinking, if you want to call it that. For me, it's just you're probably on some kind of acid or something like that, and you're coming up with this kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, that's all I can really say about it. I know there's a lot of people with smooth brains that probably like jizz their pants when
you smooth brainers.
No,
where's the crossover between the smooth brainers and how I referred to them as the herders?
Yeah, I was saying in the chat, like the people that actually find this shit entertaining need to be taken out of the gene pool, because it just because you're just stupid. You're at a level of stupidity that I can't comprehend. And I'm sure WWE loves you because you'll continue to shell out money on, oh my God, he's got a new mask and I need to buy a new replica of this really stupid fucking shitty mask. Maybe it glows in the dark like his shitty face did during the entire match as well. It's just, yeah. People are dumb, and it makes everyone who watch wrestling look dumb, because WWE is the top company for it. They're the brand of wrestling. They're the brand that everyone knows about. So when this shit is on TV and it makes us look stupid for watching it, and the rest of our people going, oh, look at the back, he was glowing, and that was funny, and they burst into fire. Oh, the fire was so funny. Oh my God, my brain. Oh, and there's all the masks of all the people in the funhouse. It was like, oh my God.
Now, can I just say, we did see some soap opera shit at the end of the show.
That was good. Was
fucking tremendous.
Right, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with good soap opera storytelling when it's done right, but this isn't soap opera storytelling. It's Hammer horror stuff. And that's fine if you like that sort of Hammer horror stuff, but it's not. But it's like, I don't really want that in my professional wrestling. That's not the reason. Like, the stuff with the Bloodline, which we'll go on to talk about, is kind of rooted in a pretty clear reality. Like, everything you can understand, it's all set about, and it's not too spooky or complex or anything. It's like clear emotions, clear thinking with a lot of layers on top of it. So it's really well put together. And again, I'll gush over it when we get to the actual match itself. But this is, nothing's happening, and the stuff that is happening is just way too bizarre to make any real sense. I mean, I've spoken in the past about how like the stuff with the Undertaker has never really connected with me in the same way it does you two, but I can admit that the Undertaker stuff, a lot of it I could still kind of ground in some level of reality or human emotion to a degree.
You know what pisses me off about that, though, is Undertaker and Kane was so good that it now means that once every 2 to 3 years, we have to suffer through someone attempting to do that. And that was once in a blue moon. That was because Taker was already established enough, and he came from an era where it was already stupid enough. You know, when you have Bray Wyatt amongst, you know, the Ricochets and the Sami Zayns, and it doesn't fit as well as maybe he thinks it would. And honest to God, you know, I really just wish that we didn't have to do this. Because I liked Bray Wyatt. I loved the Wyatt family. I loved that.
Yeah, that was easily my favorite incarnation of this character, was original Wyatt family. He's just a cult leader type dude who's got some followers. They're all these big, creepy looking guys that beat the crap out of people. And
that's grounded in reality. You can, because that's happened. That's actually happened in real life, that people have
tons of times.
So, like, I can totally get that side of things. What I can't wrap my head around is these multiple personalities, or these multiple people wearing masks of bunnies and witches, and the guy that apparently has been taunting him this entire time and decides to fling himself off of a stage onto, well, as close as he could land onto somebody before going into fight. So is he with Bray Wyatt? Is he against Bray Wyatt?
We need to get to that part already.
Yeah, because the biggest issue
we need to get to the part where he's gone from the company again and he gets to do another job instead.
Well, the biggest issue that I've had, and it's something that I've said before, so for anybody that's brand new to the podcast, to elaborate, Undertaker is my favorite character in the history of pro wrestling. He is arguably tied with Shawn Michaels as my favorite of all time. So it's not like I only want realistic wrestling. I fucking love Undertaker getting taken out, put in a casket, and he floats to the fucking Titantron, and you don't see him for a few months, and he comes back, and it's like, the Undertaker's out for revenge. I loved that shit. I loved the urn gets raised up by Paul Bearer, and the Undertaker is able to sit back up and regain some power and all. It was silly and it was stupid, but at the same time, it was fun, and it was simple. And that's the biggest issue I've always had with Bray Wyatt is they seem to add more details and less substance in the way that, this isn't the best analogy for everybody, but hey, I have a fucking teaching degree in English. If you're like looking through somebody's essay and they've written 5 pages and there's not a damn thing that they're saying in it because it's all fluff, that's what I feel like this story is. It's like watching one of those, you mentioned B-movie Hammer horror type things, but if they decided that they needed to get more, have you ever seen the movie Tree of Life? Where it's like, okay, you're just showing symbolism, you're just doing like these, what are supposed to be interesting things and visuals and all, but then when you boil it down, you go, so what the fuck happened? Versus a movie like 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I think is absolutely brilliant. And it's not for everybody, but it's a lot of like, okay, you look at the way that they throw the bone at the beginning of it and it's symbolism for this, and you go, oh, okay, I get what they're going for here. Simple doesn't necessarily mean you have to simplify it for other people. You just need to make sure you've got a concept. And I don't think they have a story here, because I think the story is, wouldn't it be interesting if you didn't know what I was doing?
So I think that they're trying to get Bray. They're trying to pull a story out of him, because I think Bray has a long form idea, and I think they're trying to be like, "Yo, can we simplify this shit, man? Can we, like, what are we doing? Can we get it to a streamlined idea? Because you got a lot of ideas." And Triple H said this as much to Ariel Helwani at SummerSlam. Way before they even hired him, where he was like, "Guy's got a lot of ideas, and if you can get him to focus, you might get something good, but I would love to work with him." And we're literally seeing that.
Because really, I am not a fan of twists equals fun just for the sake of it. I don't like chaotic storylines that go nowhere, but they keep me on my toes. And that's one of the reasons why I don't really love a lot of like horror movies, is because a good horror movie or a good thriller or whatever is legitimately good. Like, I mean, Silence of the Lambs, fantastic movie. Absolutely deserves Best Picture. The Menu recently came out. Very good movie. Really enjoyed that a lot. But there's a lot of shitty movies that are out there that think a horror movie equals if you got jump scared enough times, it means that it's good. Just like that there's like action movies that think like, did it get your adrenaline pumping? Then it's a good movie. And it's like, no, it might be a good action flick time to waste or something, but it's not a good story. And when you're wasting week after week after week of, hey, how about Bray Wyatt is on the side of Uncle Howdy? Oh, Uncle Howdy doesn't like Bray Wyatt, but he kind of does, but he doesn't. But this week he does, but that way he doesn't. You get to a point where you're just like, all right, if this ends with the two of you fighting at WrestleMania, why did it take so long? And if it ends with the two of you teaming, why did it take so long?
Well, you know? We have to get to the other part of this fucking charade. The Raw Women's Championship match was blah.
It was pretty much entirely pointless. Yeah, so nothing at all happens during the match that you need to care about. If you missed the match, you didn't miss a damn thing. The crowd wasn't super hot. On
Raw.
Yeah, they did. They did that match already. So all they did here was wait to see what the next step of this Alexa Bliss story is. And the next step of the story was showing the same types of video clips and having the words, "Do you feel in charge?" make her scared. So they did not take one step forward on this whatsoever.
Part of me hated this more than the Wyatt.
Me too. Yeah.
That match, because it was just there. It's like they built a match, so they said, okay, we've advertised the match, so we'll just do something, which is just them going out for 7 minutes, doing fuck all, Like, I can't remember anything happening in the match other than the KOD.
I was just gonna say all I remember is that she had a KOD for the finish.
That's exactly what I put in my article too. I said Bliss tried her best. Bianca hit a KOD,
and it's just it frankly really just how things are different at the moment. Because, and again, I know we shouldn't always be making comparisons, but I watched Jamie Hayter versus Emi Sakura on Rampage. That match fucking ruled. It was so good. It was hard hitting. It was like everything that you want to have out of a champion who is on top of her game right now and is super over with the crowd, and going up against someone who's not like, we knew that she wasn't going to beat Jamie Hayter, Emi Sakura, because she's barely on TV anyway. But like they went out there and said, okay, we've got X number of minutes. We're going to make this the best we possibly can. Whereas I think Alexa and Bianca probably heard what the pitch was for this story or how it was going to be told. Alexa just probably deflated because, like, oh, we've actually put some time into trying to build this story, and now we're going to get 7 minutes, and this is how it's just going to go. And then it's all going to end with a spooky video clip. And so she probably went in half-assed about it, and I can't blame her if that's the case. And Bianca's nowhere near as over as she was around about SummerSlam time. I think the feuds with both Damage Control and this one with Alexa have deflated a lot of people's interest in her because she is coming across very one-dimensional right now. So, and yeah, the match itself was just blah there. Alexa's just not good enough she's fine. She's like, she's the female Miz in the ring. Like, you're going to get a halfway decent, sometimes good match out of it, but you're never going to get anything special. And it's like, fine, it's competent, it's safe, it's whatever. But it's nothing that I really want to see on pay-per-view. We know Bianca can have far better matches than that, but Bliss is not the right opponent for it. And now she's going to go down into the spooky camp again. And again, not very interested in that either. So basically everything between the end of the men's rumble and the women's rumble was just a big load of thumbs down.
And for anybody that's curious, no, we're not crapping on it because it's one of the women's matches, because you always have to put that out there because people will be like, you only hated this because of that.
Established that we're crapping on it because it's Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, just to be sure.
I just sang the praises of a different match on AEW for women.
Right, but I mean, that's why people ignore that kind of shit all the time. People are always doing that, like, oh, you crapped on the women's match, that's the worst thing. And it's like, if it happens...
fucking rant on yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, we also get people that dislike when we praise the women's match things. So yeah, you can never fucking win when it comes to that stuff. But
no, you can't. Fuck them.
But it's the Bray Wyatt problem with the whole thing, because, and people have even been talking about this recently. Saw some report about something or whatever, but people have put it out there like, the problem with Bray Wyatt is either he can't get himself over at any particular moment, or he can't get his opponents over. And sometimes it's even both. But like, I'm not as invested in this story as they think that I'm going to be. And yeah, it's not for everybody. Some people love other things and stuff. That's perfectly fine. You can't book towards one person, especially if you don't know who the fuck they are. But I want them to do something instead of to try to take me on a wild ride that isn't going to lead anywhere, because that's the other thing that gets under my skin. If you have a track record of dawdling and then following through with something good at the end, that would give me more pause to be like, well, it's all going to lead somewhere, and at WrestleMania, it's going to be this great, fantastic thing. And instead, our track record for most Bray Wyatt scenarios is they either just drop it out of the face of the blue, and it went nowhere and it was completely pointless, or it's something like the Randy Orton feud, which was like, we're going to do this twist and this twist and this twist, and it's just going to lead to, you got a couple minutes at Mania, let's fucking move on and act like it never happened. Hey, by the way, you want to team up with Matt Riddle? I don't want to invest 6 months for that. It's stupid. Frankie's in the super chat. So genuinely, what is the plan for this at Mania? At this point, I am not feeling as confident about my mixed tag team thing, but it's got to be something involving the three of them. Whether it's like Alexa Bliss is like the special guest referee in a match between the two of them or something over like fighting for her soul or something. But Bray has not interacted with her whatsoever. It's not like he's trying to save her from Uncle Howdy's influence, who might be his fucking friend. Like, posing questions.
I just want to get to the part where it's, oh fuck, that's Bo Dallas. Oh fuck, they're related. Now we can get into why the brother is manipulating his brother's poor mental health, because at least that's a shitty thing people do. It's shitty, but people do it. You know? Tell that story then. Because, like, it needs to get to a relatable point. Because otherwise, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. So not the best thing to go into when it comes to that. And, yeah, I don't blame anybody for feeling like their mood dipped down throughout that whole portion of the night. But before we move on to the women's match, let me just remind everybody that there are a couple different things that you should be doing to help support the channel. If you do enjoy things and you want to see more of them instead of how we don't want to see more of this Bray Wyatt thing, if you are on YouTube, start clicking around on different things. We got some super chats that have popped up throughout the night, so I want to thank them all again as well. But you got the little thanks button on YouTube if you're listening to this after the fact, which is exactly the same thing for the most part. You got that subscribe button, that like button. You got that join button, which is the same as Patreon. And if you go to Redbubble and TeePublic, you can pick up some merchandise, which maybe I'll end up putting some Bray Wyatt type stuff up there and maybe kind of being like, you know, hey, what's the fucking point or something? I don't know. Let's get into the women's Royal Rumble match. Starting off with entry number 1, Rhea Ripley. Did not see that one coming. And entry number 2, Liv Morgan, who had said she wants to be number 1, and they just said, well, you got number 2 instead.
And they did that for a very specific reason, which is obvious if you know
after the fact. Yeah, it seems like that is the case. It messed up a lot of people's predictions because I'm counting, I don't know, somewhere around half, if not more, of the people that predicted Liv Morgan going in for number 1. And of course, you guys get 1 point or whatever it is for being within 1 point of that. I haven't quite tabulated that yet. I think more than likely, I'm probably just not going to get around to doing this while we're doing the podcast. I'll probably just do a little video afterward or something.
By the way, I would have been dead wrong either way because I really thought that they were just going to do Becky and Bayley, and they didn't.
Yeah,
they did eventually get to that. But.
So Morgan comes out at number 2. Dana Brooke is number 3. Emma is number 4. They make a point of mentioning that she got released just before the Royal Rumble. I thought that was pretty kind of like mean to just be like, hey, I guess you have fired before that. Is this when you started noticing them ragging on people?
Yeah, and then there's a very specific spot later in this match.
Interrupt if I don't bring it up because I don't know exactly which one. I see Marco in the chat. I enjoy the women's Rumble tons more than the men's. Overall, this is kind of my sentiment too. Brandon saying, though, this match kind of bored me until about halfway through, which I can understand that too.
I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was one of maybe the second best women's Rumble I've seen. The first one being the first one.
So Emma gets her spot in the Royal Rumble. Shayna Baszler follows up. Bayley's number 6. B-Fab is number 7.
Stop. Michael Cole, it just enjoys ragging on Top Dollar.
I
just think it's the funniest fucking thing.
He took every opportunity he could when somebody's saying something like B-Fab's about to take flight here or something, and he was like, well, Top Dollar can't take flight. Like, it's kind of we know that he can go over the top rope and all this. Like, it really was the case.
B-Fab was in and out as she should have been, as we pretty much said she would be. She got to do a couple of things, and yay, good for you. Like,
one of the things she got to know to do is to learn that maybe that hairstyle doesn't work that well for the in-ring, because she spent every split second trying to get her hair out of her face.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, all of the dreads and whatever hair extensions that she had going on kept flopping in front of her face. She had to just keep flipping her hair around and all. It was really distracting to, like, okay, you can't wrestle like that, pretty much. You won't be able to see anything. She got eliminated by Rhea Ripley very, very quickly. I still don't quite kind of know why they bothered to put her in there, but whatever. Roxanne Perez comes out at number 8.
Phenomenal.
She did a great job. She looked like she belonged in the ring with all the others that have been there for quite a bit longer. She had a pretty decent showing. And she wasn't like the star of the show, but she didn't need to be. And this was more of what I wanted to see. Like, yeah, throw an NXT person in there. That's cool. She had a good spot. And now there's more people talking about her, and that should bring more attention to Vengeance Day. Thumbs up.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Not only did she look like she belonged there, but she also was genuinely like, I'm so happy to be here. This is an amazing moment. And she had that look on her face. Thumbs up for me, having Roxanne in the ring.
Callum hated it. No, I'm just kidding. I know you liked it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she was great. She's better than half the women in that ring.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's going to be a star. And looking forward to seeing, the next steps for her.
No, they'll fuck her up.
Yeah, they will, but this is good.
Dakota Kai comes out after that. Io Sky following after that. So we got all 3 members of Damage Control in the ring together, and they start doing some damage by eliminating Dana Brooke. Now, Dana Brooke had just saved Emma. I was going to call her Emelina. And she says, I got your back because we used to be friends. And whoops, I got eliminated. And then Emma gets eliminated. I'm like, oh, that was useful. But I like that they did that because they did have the team for quite a while.
Yeah, I think they'll fall back on that at some point.
They pretty much have to.
For trying to form some women's tag teams.
Mm-hmm. Look, Dana Brooke and Emma are not doing anything on their own. Put them in a tag team. Have them lose to Damage Control on an episode of Raw or SmackDown or something. It's fine. You're not losing anything. It's not like, oh man, there goes that big Emma main event push that's in the works. It's not. Doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. So, team them back up. Yeah, cool. Roxanne gets eliminated by Damage Control as well. And number 11 is Natalya. And I want to ask...
Anybody want to talk about what she was wearing?
What? Yeah, to repeat what my wife said, what's going on here?
There was a great theme tonight of people just wearing chrome.
I noticed what was happening. I noticed more than anything that in the women's match, they must have been told, hey, can you dress like you're in the Mountain Dew thing? Yeah, because almost everybody was wearing black and neon green.
It was black, neon green, and some kind of purple. And like at least a good 5 or 6 women had that on, which was...
Oh, I counted way, way more than that. I counted like 9 or 10.
Wow.
Yeah. And there were a few that were like, maybe you missed the memo and you got just slightly the wrong color. Like Liv Morgan had the same basic setup as like a Tegan Nox, but yellow. So I'm like, you're all going with you went to the same costume person and they took their different templates and just kind of swapped it here and there. But yeah, Natty's ring gear. I don't know.
She's the boat. She can wear whatever she wants.
Not the worst that I've ever seen, but I mean, when she got in the ring and everything, then that looked fine. But to each their own. Hey, people go nuts over people wearing swan outfits at the fucking Oscars and all. I don't know, understand fashion. Amelia calling her Lady Gaga reject. Brandon says, Natty is funny as hell. The hat and glasses made me bust out laughing.
Because realistically, what it was, honest to God, was just, it's her dad's cap, but in chrome, instead of the hot pink that he wore it. And it's his sunglasses. It was just an homage to her father. It just, for some reason, she wanted everything to be chrome.
Mm. So South Newton in the chat says, plus Damage Control just beats her down every week and she has 0 character development from it. She's not being treated like a star at all, despite her popularity.
Anybody. Who are you referring to?
I'm not too sure. I was going to ask. I think
LeRae is it, maybe. Or Michin.
Maybe so. I don't know. Elaborate, South Newton. Let us know. Candice LeRae comes out next. It was at this point that I pointed out to my wife. I'm like, hey, I don't think anybody in the ring has their natural hair color, do they? Because I was just like, all right, we got like light pink, we got hot pink, we got some kind of purple shade, we got this, we got that, we got that. And then we get something that's a little bit weird. Shayna Baszler gets eliminated by Natalya.
Genuinely, these referees come alive during these fucking battle royals.
It's like they earn their paycheck during that time because they're yelling at Natalya. No, they're yelling at Shayna. No, get down. Your feet hit the floor.
One foot hit the floor and maybe the other one lightly tapped it, but she was clearly not meant to get eliminated there. And they're like, no, you're out. No.
Mm-hmm. And you can audibly hear them say this, and then Damage Control knocks them out.
Anyway.
And it seems like they're officially treating this as Damage Control getting that elimination instead of Natalya. But
so
if you ask the referees ringside, they're like, "Fuck no, it's fucking the data." Like they
and to what I'm sure Callum is thinking, yes, it's all meaningless. It means nothing. It's just that like it's weird when the referees just suddenly like, no, I have authority and you will listen to it. It's like
respect my authority.
Whoa, what the fuck? Where is this every other night of the year?
So I don't know how that is going to factor into like, statistics in the grand scheme of things, because maybe it's going to count for a point for Natalya. Right now, it seems like they're just treating it as damage control, and you weren't supposed to hear the referees do that, so they're just going to, earmuffs essentially. But yeah, I might tweak that down the line. I don't know. I'll put a little asterisk in there. Wasn't a big fan of that since, I don't like it when they screw up.
Yeah.
But it's not like that's the biggest screw up. It's not like it's even as bad as Kofi's or something. So whatever. South Newton says, sorry, I was continuing from my previous comment, just generally talking about how Triple H is booking Becky since she's returned. Doesn't feel like he wants her as a top star anymore. We'll get to a little bit more about Becky later on.
Becky Lynch? Yeah. Go listen to my rant yesterday. I don't have the energy.
So Zoe Stark comes out at number 13. Xia Li's number 14. Candice gets eliminated by Io Sky. Becky Lynch comes out at number 15.
Hold on, because Xia Li, it was, again, back on the commentary crapping on people. Corey Graves is just like very much, yeah, but we talk about her potential every week. When is she actually going to do something? Like, damn.
Maybe when they book her. They've booked her in like 4 matches over like a year and a half. I feel bad for Xia Li. She was working towards something pretty good there in NXT. And they call her up to the roster, and then she does fuck all. And yeah, it's a shame.
It's funny to hear the commentary get so passionate like that.
It seemed like they were having more fun in the women's Royal Rumble for sure. Tegan Nox comes out at number 16, and then number 17 comes out, and it's Asuka wearing slightly different attire than she normally wears. And
great.
She gets she gets a huge pop from the crowd. They are really digging her. I'm digging her. I think she looks awesome. She's kicking some ass. Thumbs up all around when it comes to Asuka.
So this is the Kana aesthetic. This is the aesthetic that she had for a while back in Japan. Pretty much her most famous gimmick or overall look from Japan, which was the clown makeup, the more like long tights. That's everyone kind of wanted her to revert back to this killer persona, which is far more violent and aggressive than what she has been before. And she has known to be quite violent and aggressive before, but I'm very much looking forward to what this new iteration of her character will be like.
And I just gotta say, even before they saw the paint, she got a pop, man.
Like, she was back, yeah. It was a good return.
Yeah, they were ready to see her.
They gave her the double pop. They popped for seeing her, and then she took the mask off, and they popped even more. And that was very cool. Brandon in the chat said, I love this Asuka form. Or I love this from Asuka, the pop she got when she took off her mask. Yeah, Frankie says, Asuka's wife as fuck. And it's so funny because she's so like cutesy on her YouTube channel. It's all just like these little like happy emojis and all. Tegan Nox gets taken out by Asuka, and number 18 is not Dewdrop. It's Piper Niven back.
I popped so hard for this. Hell yeah. Like, she deserves this, and they had fun making fun of Dewdrop. Just the entire first 2 minutes she's in the ring, they're just like, do she drop people? She do. On commentary, they were just having a ball. And I think it's great that Piper Niven is Piper Niven again. Dewdrop was stupid. God bless him for changing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, nobody should have to deal with the name Dewdrop, especially for as long as he had. And after the whole association with Eva Marie died, and they decided, okay, we're just going to keep the name because people would be terrified if you changed to a normal person name now. And so yeah, it's one of the things that I enjoyed the most about this Rumble is the kind of resetting of some people's gimmicks.
And Peter mentions that they referenced her being Viper on the Indies. So, the Triple H rules of about being like, let's not just completely ignore the Bullet Club as a thing and just be like, they have history over in another promotion or something. And just be like, yeah, they're part of the Bullet Club. And it's like, yeah, she used to be Viper. So I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. She dropped this stupid Doudrop name. You don't have to have the kind of like silly, twiddling your fingers type bullshit. She didn't do that. She just be Piper Niven, and she kicked some ass in this. Yeah, that's pretty far. So, good for her. Tamina comes out next. I was surprised that Tamina was in here. I thought plenty of other people could have been in there instead, but we haven't seen her for a while. Nobody's meaner than Tamina. She, all things considered, she did a pretty good job. Chelsea Green comes out number 20.
Hold on. Because Pat McAfee, when Tamina came out, popped me just for saying she stared down with Piper, and Pat McAfee goes, "Oh, this is a match we've all been dreaming about for a while." Oh, like, just stupid, but still, it's like, come on.
That's Togan Andre for another era. Yeah, Chelsea Green comes out at number 20. No Zack Ryder for the previous match, but Chelsea Green's here. And she immediately gets eliminated to break the women's record of the shortest time in the match. She is then there for either 4 or 5 seconds. It's 4 seconds on the Wikipedia right now. They said 5 on commentary. Whatever it is, she beats out Liv Morgan's 8 seconds. And that's it for Chelsea Green, which I know some people are going to be annoyed about, but to be perfectly honest, I don't know Chelsea all that much from like on the indies and stuff. I've not watched her Impact stuff. I've not watched anything that she's done outside of what she's done in WWE for the most part. So I don't have any, I want to see the Laurel Van Ness character, or I want to have this kind of character. And if they just, look, if she wants to be a joke character, you need some joke characters here and there. I'm not opposed to it.
I just don't like the idea that my boss shared that they're going to make her a Karen character. It's just not something I'm looking forward to seeing. Maybe she can pull it off and be a lot of fun.
I think that she can be a fun character. I think she's a shitty wrestler. So hopefully it does lean more into the actual character side of things.
I mean, if that's her strength, just playing the character side, yeah. Not everybody can be somebody who's in the world championship picture all the time. Some people are going to be the Heath Slaters and the Doink the Clowns and whatever it might be. Santino Marella had his moments where people thought he could win a Royal Rumble and all, but he was predominantly a funny character. And maybe Chelsea Green's going to be the funniest person in the women's division. I don't know. We'll see. But she came out there, looked great for 4 seconds, out of the mix, and that's like our biggest surprise for a good while. Follow that up with Dakota Kai getting taken out by this drove me nuts. Dakota Kai gets eliminated by Becky Lynch. Io Sky gets eliminated by Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch gets eliminated by Bayley. Bayley gets eliminated by Liv Morgan. And I was like, oh my god, I can't type fast enough. What the hell? I'm just doing that. But hey, it's fun.
I think the thing that frustrates me there is that it just means, okay, this pairing will be married for a little while longer. Because if they're all just getting eliminated one by one, that means they're sticking with one another for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget whose point, I'm sorry. Yeah, it definitely feels like Becky Lynch has lost some steam.
Yeah, at this point, I don't really know what I could expect them to have for Becky at Mania. I think she's probably going to be just in the tag title situation. It's like, it's Becky and somebody against Damage Control and against whatever.
Well, it's good because she is a big star.
Zelina Vega was number 21. She comes out dressed up as some character from Street Fighter.
She's Jewelry from Street Fighter. She's also going to be a commentator in the upcoming Street Fighter 6.
You are well past my level of Street Fighter knowledge. I stopped at like the 4th version of Street Fighter 2.
I have
like
never
Street Fighter 2 Turbo, whatever.
I have considered purchasing Street Fighter 6 for this. But this is pretty cool.
Well, she looked cool. I like the outfit. It's
She eliminated Xylee. That was fun.
It's like an actual Street Fighter thing. Corey Graves was going fucking nuts.
Yeah.
over this whole thing. He was just like, can somebody be Blanca? Can somebody like whatever? And down the line, Street Fighter is something I definitely want to do a fan tracks for. So if you are a fan of that, you want to hear us check out that Street Fighter movie, fanboysanonymous.com, hit it up with the Patreon or something like that. Let us do that sooner rather than later. But right now, I'm going to add a note later on at the end of the night after I do my 15 other fucking things I need to do. Zelina is currently going to be winning my best ring attire for the year. I thought this was pretty neat.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Definitely going to be hard to top.
Any thoughts on Street Fighter and or Zelina Vega popping out and doing all this, Callum?
I thought she looked pretty good in terms of the actual work that she was doing. It's actually some of the best ring work that I've seen her do since she joined WWE. So that was a step up.
If you guys have to pick Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat,
I've only ever played Mortal Kombat, so
yeah, that's basically where I stand as well. I've played Street Fighter only in the sense that their characters are in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh, one vote for Street Fighter on my end. I always like that game more. Raquel Rodriguez is number 22. She didn't get the memo.
This is where I need to go. I don't know anyone's fucking theme song. Happened in the men's. It happened because I heard this song. Like, who is this? It's Raquel. This is what Raquel comes out to weekly. Shows you how much I watch the shows on mute for anyone who gives a shit. But like, I don't know anyone's theme song anymore.
You have them on mute?
Most of the time, yeah. I don't know fucking hear the comment.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of the theme songs either. Raquel's is something that if it starts playing, I kind of can go like, oh, okay, that's Raquel's for a split second. But a lot of them, they don't have that iconic thing anymore. It's not like when you first hear that note that ends up being like, okay, the glass shattered and it's Steve Austin or whatever. Somebody comes out and I'm like looking at the screen trying to figure out who's going to pop up on the Titantron and all.
Used to literally be, you can hear a millisecond of someone's statement go, oh my God, that's,
yeah, one little guitar note. That's Bret the Hitman Hart.
Like, and you're just like, now I don't know who anyone is.
Peter's asking, are we not going to talk about Corey taking a shot at Matt Cardona? I didn't catch that he had said something about him.
He didn't get a chance to. He literally, the joke was, I didn't even get a chance to make fun of her husband. He had jokes ready. He didn't get to pop them off.
You guys think he's going to pop up? Or do you think that he's
yes,
not a thing right now?
I think he's going to pop up. I think he's got some prior commitments to GCW and NWA to finish out, but I think he's popping up soon.
What about you, Callum? Yeah or nay?
He probably will. I kind of wish he wouldn't, but he probably will.
Moving on from that, we got Michin. They are sticking on Michin. Seems we're gonna have to.
It was Michin this time.
Yep, that's been Michin the past like 3 or 4 times.
Fucking time.
It seemed like they were at first, but lately it's been just Michin. So I think that they're firmly in that camp at this point. She was another one that it was like, who's this coming out? Oh, okay, it's Michin. Lacey Evans comes out after that. Doesn't have as big of a flop of an entrance as she mistakenly did on SmackDown.
Oh,
that was not good. Not good at all for Lacey Evans. Surprised that there's not a little bit more outrage when it comes to that, but
I think people are overblowing that. It was just her going after like a kid in the crowd and just
it's just
not doing a high five. I mean, people are blowing out.
It's not good.
Because the woman behind the character is a fucking idiot. But that's like beside the point.
So she comes out, and then she's followed with number 25, who was ringside, Michelle McCool. And
this was so funny.
I think that this is the first time that it's happened. They brought it up as like, has this ever happened before? I can't think of a scenario where somebody was in the crowd and then popped up for the Royal Rumble. We've had the commentators 4 times, but Michelle McCool was sitting there with her daughters, and then she just, unzipped her track jacket or whatever the fuck it was. I don't know.
And she had the gear to go, and she wrestled in her boots.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, that's pretty cool.
Fantastic. Like,
Yeah, not the craziest.
She does this once a year. She comes out. She's like Undertaker for Women's Rumbles. She comes out, has a great showing, goes away. I like it.
Yeah, mostly thumbs up for me. Can't really complain. Indy Hartwell comes out next, and she is one of those few NXT folks that's able to actually pop up, and kind of kicking myself that I didn't add her into there because I was like, well, maybe she's just brought in as like one of those backup people. Because every year,
according to PWI, they brought in Ivy Nile as a stand-in for someone.
Right. So every year they bring in a few people, and they tend not to use them. And I was like, Indy's probably just one of them. Like, yeah, if we need you, we need you. We'll put you in there. Maybe not. I kind of agree with Frankie here. Maybe it should have been Beth.
Funny thing to me is that, again, gotta go to commentary shitting on people. They just started making fun of the fact that she was with the Garganos in NXT.
Which she didn't have any chance to interact with Candice. So,
and they were just like, oh yeah, she's indie wrestling, by the way. What's the deal with that? Oh, I think she used to run around with the Garganos. And she's married to Dexter, right? Yeah, the guy who's hiding. Like, Corey Graves didn't want to say his name. I think the whole thing was weird when it came to certain people, but good for Indy. Check it off the bucket list. I thought Dexter would show up here. And just sort of pop out into the ring, save her from an elimination.
That's what I was thinking, that he would catch her.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But no.
A little bit weird. Sonya Deville comes out at number 27. This is where I thought to myself, man, you know, as much as I don't really care in the grand scheme of things, I think I would have rather had shown Charlotte Flair against Sonya Deville on this card instead of Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss.
I would rather have Charlotte on the card, not versus Sonya.
Zoe Stark gets taken out by Sonya. Zelina gets taken out by Lacey. Shotzi comes out at number 28. So Shotzi got injured after Aaliyah. Shotzi's returned. Not looking really like good for Aaliyah, but hey, whatever, you know. Nikki Cross comes out at number 29 after Indy Hartwell gets taken out by Sonya Deville, and our
woman for taking she sprinted to the ring.
She bolted. And number 30, your big surprise, the end of the night, or at least when it comes to this, is Nia Jax.
Nia Jax, who didn't botch anything in the ring that I saw, but is so prone to botching. They botched the clock. They didn't even show the clock.
Yeah, they jumped straight to having her music and popping her up on the Titantron as the number 10 pops up a second later.
To the point where I was like, oh, they're going to do a fun bit where she just shows up, wrecks shit, and leaves? Is she not the number 30? But no, she was. They just fucked up.
Yeah, some trigger happy guy with his finger on the button is just like,
Nia Jax.
I see it says 15, 14. I'm just going to hit it. Marco says, what's the over under that was deliberate? I think it was just a fuck up. 100%. No Carmelo or Naomi. Yeah, sad face on those. So Nia doesn't last long. Everybody teams up against her. I think it was you, Rob, that said, are they going to Muhammad Hassan her? But she gets taken out by a handful of people just to give themselves an extra, another elimination for this one. That one. Evans gets taken out by Raquel. Sonya gets taken out by Asuka. Michelle McCool gets taken out by Rhea. Shotzi gets taken out by Michin. Michin gets taken out by Piper. And Piper gets taken out by Raquel. And Raquel gets taken out by Rhea. The typical, you toss someone out, then it's your turn. All right, we're going down the assembly line here. So at this point, Rhea Ripley taking out Raquel Rodriguez meant for me, damn, Raquel did not get as good of a showing as I was expecting that she would. She's not in the final four. She doesn't get the most eliminations. I had thought she was potentially going to be the runner-up. And I guess they're just not quite ready yet. But I was really surprised that Nikki Cross was in the final four. And I can't... Look, I like Nikki Cross and all, but I can't imagine this was them sitting down going, okay, well, who do we want in the final four? Well, we're going to make a big thing out of Asuka. We're going to make a big thing out of Liv. We're going to make a big thing out of Rhea. And let's make a big thing out of Nikki.
I think Nikki's just there. But, there wasn't really a final four because she was out almost immediately.
I think she might have potentially was supposed to get eliminated before Raquel. in the grand scheme. And it's just sort of happened like that. And, ultimately being in the final four, being number 5, it's not like it's like a statistic that really changes things in the grand scheme. So, what's what it was. It's mostly down to the final 3, Asuka, Liv, and Rhea. So at this point, number 1 from the men's Royal Rumble went all the way to the final 2. And it was number 1 against number 30. This time around, we got number 1 and number 2. And Asuka's like, I don't know, like 14 or something, 17. So I'm like, Triple H really likes the idea of number 1 and number 2 lasting quite a while and doing that. Because Sheamus lasted pretty decent amount of time in that one. And they did a fun little thing here. All 3 of them are on the apron. And Asuka spits her like bluish, greenish mist. Accidentally doesn't get Rhea Ripley. She gets Liv Morgan instead. Asuka gets kicked off. Rhea Ripley almost botches that and has her feet hit the floor. The referees were probably sitting there going like, man, we can't fucking do that. And Liv gets basically Hurricane Rana'd out. Fun elimination, I thought. And Rhea Ripley wins.
I thought it was really good. For a minute there, I really thought blind Liv Morgan was going to win. Like, I thought they might just go with Liv because I think she's one of those people who just has, as much as I hate this term, those stands that are just like, fucking Liv is everything. Yes.
It's weird that you can find that for almost anybody because you Google like even some of the like the people that have only been on Level Up once, and there's like fan accounts that are dedicated to like the rise of like Danny Palmer or something, and it's like, she's wrestled 1 match. Come on, relax.
But fucking Rhea Ripley, hell yeah! I cannot complain about either one of these Royal Rumble winners. They're fucking great. Exactly who I would want to see go to WrestleMania. I love Rhea Ripley, love Cody Rhodes. Hell yeah. I still don't think that, full disclosure, that Rhea Ripley Bianca is a WrestleMania main event, but I would like to see Rhea Ripley beat Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. Because you know what? Triple H said, let it play out. And you know who's in the perfect place to let it play out right now? Triple H.
He's like, listen, Charlotte beating Rhea at WrestleMania in front of nobody. My plan here, skip to 2023. And we'll just have her beat her at the end.
If she had to make the choice today, I'd want her to face Charlotte. But I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm interested to see where the Cody thing goes. I can honestly say that even if it's not the most thrilling road to Mania, I personally like who are in the positions to be challenging for the titles.
I would say that, but we don't know who the other person is, and I'm a little bit worried that it's going to be Lacey Evans against Charlotte Flair.
I don't like you.
Callum, how are you feeling about Rhea Ripley winning?
I mean, I assumed that she was going to win. I kind of feel like she was the only real choice to win.
I got a little nervous when she was number 1,
though. Yeah, but then I'm kind of now in the boat of thinking that Triple H isn't really inventive when it comes to Rumbles. It's like, okay, we just put number 1 wins one and number 30 wins the other. Okay, we're done here. And then just the rest of it falls into place. But, this one was pretty well structured. There was some things, like you had the whole Bayley, Dakota Kai, Sky against Becky Lynch thread that came through it. You get to see a new version of Asuka and Piper Niven's now in Chelsea Green debuts. So a smattering of NXT talent. So there were things happening besides just focusing on Rhea going through it. But I think the fact that they had the number 1 entrant, or in this case, number 1 and number 2 entrant, go from the start to the finish, I think that sort of contributed to both matches dragging in parts. Because it was just like the same people over and over again. Whereas, like, one of the things I love most about the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble is that there was that reset moment where you had Brock go out, and it's almost like, okay, we're almost starting like a second match, and it makes almost an hour plus long match a bit more palatable. I'm not saying you can obviously, because they've done it multiple times, have number 1 go coast to coast. But I think that was partially contributing to the fact that it just felt a little bit slow in places. And I didn't really contribute too much to this side of things, but the Nia Jax thing is just like you've already got a lot of people on your back about where your women's division is going, and you think the answer to that is bringing in many people's eyes, one of the worst women that you've ever had in the company from an in-ring perspective. And seemingly she is back because there's now merch associated with her.
Oh, there is.
Oh, really?
Because that was going to be the next question I was going to ask, was just because she's here doesn't mean she necessarily is going to be back in the same way that it seems it's going to be the case for Chelsea. But hey, if they have got merch, then
I haven't looked at the shop. I don't typically make a habit out of that.
I just saw it picked up on Twitter, so I don't know if it is 100%, but there is like this Irresistible Force shirt that's seemingly out now. And if that's the case, then
there's a new Edge shirt out. I will go through this as we go because that's really interesting.
I mean, I hope it is a one and done thing, but if she is back, then
I mean, she yelled, "I'm back," but like also, that could have just been for the Royal Rumble. Nia Jax shirt, yeah.
They've got Nia Jax. They've got a Booker T shirt now.
Yeah, they got a new Nia Jax shirt.
Yeah, so I'll just go with the assumption that she's re-signed, and that's not good.
Although
I don't think she adds anything to it. I don't really want Nia Jax to be in this company too much more.
Although I will say this,
that's pretty good.
It says
I stole it from someone else. Like I'm not the first person to call her Nia Jax, but like that's the name I will refer to her as.
So it does say on shop.com, this is a special event item.
Okay. Hopefully.
Perhaps not.
Yeah, hopefully she's not re-signed. I was like seeing people on her Twitter saying like, go on, fools, put her on the Triple H Infinity Gauntlet, I dare you. that sort of meme going around of just like him adding people from outside of it into there, just like, go on, tell us this is a good signing. Tell us this is a signing worth celebrating.
Unfortunately, you can't, honestly.
But Riz was one of, if not arguably the only real choice. The only one that I wanted to win, just basically due to the entrance and the new aesthetic, was Asuka. Because I kind of want her to go against Charlotte at WrestleMania and just, beat her like she should have done, like 5 years ago or so.
Yeah, there's a list of people that should have beaten Charlotte that we need to undo. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Brandon in the chat suggesting maybe it's Rhea Charlotte and Asuka Bianca at Mania.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to
that's another one. Heel. Fucking let Asuka beat her. Do it right. You
can have Asuka go heel.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, it's not something that screams to me, oh wow, I'm super duper excited, just because they had that like, kind of blah tag team, and then I'm not seeing any kind of an angle that would spark my interest. But like, I'm a big fan of Bianca Belair, a big fan of Asuka. If you're giving me the option of something I haven't seen before, but it's people that I'm less interested in versus people that don't have the best storyline, but I'm a fan of them, I'll sit through a couple weeks worth of a lackluster story to get a better WrestleMania match rather than to get through, a C-level story to get a D-level match, like a lot of the other options could be. Frankie's assuming that it's Ronda and Bianca Belair. They could go in that direction too. Ronda Rousey not being a part of this
makes me think she won't be at Mania.
It's kind of giving me that vibe too. Look, I don't put a lot of stock in this to begin with, but it does seem like most of the chatter that I'm coming across online is a lot more of the people don't think that Ronda gives a shit. Maybe that's just, maybe that's not on the inside. Maybe that's just people on the outside looking in and all, but maybe there is something like that. Maybe people are just like, look, if you don't want to fucking be here, let's just end this contract earlier and just, that's it,
Paraphrase the Paul Heyman line. Ronda Rousey does what Ronda Rousey wants to do.
Seemingly nothing at this point.
Well, I think she'd be a great addition to Mania. I just don't, like, right now, as it stands, I don't see her doing anything building towards the show.
Now, Monday Night Raw, has a history of after the Royal Rumble being like, okay, we're going to set up some ideas of where we're going to go towards WrestleMania. Because look, Elimination Chamber is right around the corner. And then we just have the march to WrestleMania. So, by the time we talk about this on the next Hot Tags, we could have a completely different perspective about some of these things. But Rhea Ripley right now, she's going to Mania. She's fighting somebody, probably Belair or Flair. Highly doubt that one of them's going to lose the title, and that's going to be what they do. But in the grand scheme, I enjoyed this Royal Rumble. It's not my favorite of all time. It was fun.
It'd be really cool. They won't do it, but just really quick fantasy booking. Beth Phoenix is so obsessed with wanting to fight Ripley that she challenges Bianca. That Rhea has to challenge her at Mania. I think that'd be really cool.
That's another thing too, is like if they want to do this Beth thing, kind of can't picture them having Rhea lose at Elimination Chamber. I don't know.
And realistically, you see Beth Phoenix. She's in great shape. Beth Phoenix probably can get through 2 singles matches and tell a decent story for WrestleMania. But I don't see it going that way. It's just something I think would be fun instead of doing the mixed tag gimmick.
So we do have one more match to talk about here for the 2023 Royal Rumble event. Roman Reigns against Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, which was, for a long time, just a match. Started to get into some false finishes, which I thought were pretty good. Owens kicking out of a spear, referee getting down, hitting a stunner. He's got a 3 count. Nobody can count the pin. Reigns low blows Owens. Reigns tells Sami Zayn to go get a chair. Zayn's like, well, you told me not to do anything. He's like, yeah, well, I'm telling you to do it now. Go get the fucking chair. And there's a little bit of hesitation. Owens gets a 2 count for another stunner. Crowd was definitely falling for that one. They thought that was going to be the big finish. Reigns hits another spear, another 2 count. Zayn starts to beg Kevin Owens to just stay down. You got a spear through the security barricade. Roman starts slamming Owens into the steel steps, and I'm thinking, oh God, you're really making a risky spot here for a potential concussion. I was getting a little nervous there. And eventually just gets another spear and retains the title. And my immediate reaction was, oh, fuck you. That's it. This is lame as all hell. And if you don't... Well, I was saying, and if you don't do anything to follow this up, I'm going to be so underwhelmed. Thankfully, the rest of the bloodline start coming down, and I'm like, okay, good. They didn't think that this was good enough, because I was like, don't tell me we're doing another thing where it's like, and Sammy kind of hesitated, and Roman's not sure if he really believes him, and we're going to have another trial on Monday Night Raw and kind of do it. And I'm like, I don't want to sit through that again. I know I love this story, but you can't do the Wyatt thing of just killing time. Like, let's get somewhere. And then it ends up getting somewhere really good. Bloodline starts celebrating in the ring, but Zayn is not allowed to have a lei placed around his neck. He's not going to get laid tonight. And Roman gets them to start beating down Kevin Owens. He handcuffs Owens to the ropes. They start super kicking him probably about a dozen times or so. Just, one after another. Jimmy and Jay, both of them together, etc. And Reigns is about to hit Kevin Owens with a steel chair. Sami Zayn steps in and stops him. Tries to plead with him. Look, this is going too far. This is beneath you as champion. You don't need to do this. Really good dialogue here, because Reigns is like, no, I don't need to do this. You need to do this. And hands him the chair. Sami Zayn decides, after, a little bit of back and forth and all, he starts to get bullied a little bit. We get the babyface turn. He hits Roman Reigns in the back with the chair. Gets attacked by Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa. But Jey Uso is all conflicted about it. And he decides to leave. And they beat him down while Jey Uso's out of the picture. And you end your night with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, a broken mess in the ring, and the Bloodline not celebrating the way that they thought that they would, but still champion Roman Reigns firmly holding those belts. I thought that this was great.
A wave of emotions here, because when
you were tired, you were hungry, you were happy.
Well, yes, indeed. But when Sammy was initially hesitant, I was upset because I'm like, they're doing this annoying thing where they have this connection between Sammy and Kevin, even though Kevin has been an asshole to Sammy since he got to this company. With the exception of like one stretch from late 2017 to 2018, Kevin has been an asshole to Sammy. And eventually, the way they paid it off with Sami Zayn's sympathy, and then only really hitting Roman because Roman got in his face and was pushing him, and he just got so frustrated with it. And the way he looked at Jimmy and Jay and said, I can't do it, I'm sorry, after hitting Roman. And Jimmy, who has been so cool with Sammy, and really was the one who was kind of not cool with Roman to begin with, just immediately attacking Sammy. It was so beautiful. And then Solo, like the mad dog he is, pushing Jimmy off and hitting the Samoan spike, all while Kevin Owens is trying to move his arms and kick his feet like, I have to try to save him. And then you look at Jimmy, and I popped immediately because my thought was, fuck Sammy for 5 seconds. Jimmy's thinking about himself. Jimmy's remembering that all this shit starts Kevin Owens beating the fuck out of Jey Uso, and he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. And I think it's because he realizes, oh man, this all started with me. Like, Roman was actually a dick to me for nearly 3 years, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think that that's a great beat. And then Roman fucking rips the shirt off Sammy, and everything done here is emotional and purpose. And this is why I didn't want Sami Zayn to win the Royal Rumble, because obviously the best move is Montreal. And now we're on a road to the Elimination Chamber that's going to have one of the best stories, and maybe what'll be Sammy's WrestleMania moment forever. And then you can get to whatever you need to get to with Cody and Roman, because wrestling does have more than one royal family. But this story will be paid off at the Chamber in a beautiful way. I loved it. I could watch segments like these every week. This was fucking great.
Yeah, I've got very little to say about the match itself, especially at least prior to the ref bump. The only thing that I had even noted down was that Owens botched his twisting moonsault. Just fell off the rope.
Yeah, that did happen, and that did look bad.
Yeah, but then the ref bump happens, as in every single Roman Reigns match has a ref bump.
It seems like it.
That's the signal for the crowd to know that, okay, now we can start paying attention to this match, because that's what happens. And it was some cool stuff of Sami Zayn saying that he was going to put the chair in, and he did eventually, but that caused a bit of a distraction. You had Owens kicking out spears, and as you mentioned, the really gnarly looking slamming the back of his head against the steel steps, and then you eventually hit another spear and get victory. But then it's all about the stuff that happens afterwards. It's again highly emotional. It's really well put together with the beat down of Owens. Everyone just taking turns beating up Kevin Owens as much as possible. Sami Zayn just standing there until eventually he just can't take any more and doesn't want to inflict any more punishment on Kevin Owens. Doesn't want to follow Roman's orders. Hits him in the back with a steel chair. The look that he gives to both the Usos, and for Jay, it's the case of, oh my God, I went to bat for you, and I was with you all this time, and I'm the one that gave you the final confirmation to be in the bloodline. So I think he's just processing so much, and Jimmy's just in full anger mode and just goes at him. And Solo doesn't care about anybody; he just like wants to fight people, so he'll just go and destroy Sammy as well. Roman gets involved, but Jay walks away, and that's an interesting. There's many different directions you can go with this, because now he's disrespected Roman as well. Are they going to be going after him? Will he eventually come to his senses one way or the other and side with Sammy, or will he reinforce his allegiance to the bloodline, just add another layer of heartbreak to Sammy to think that he might still have a tie-in with a guy that he did form a bond with after some really initial like hatred between the two of them, or at least from Jay's side of things, and they formed that kinship. They defended the tag titles on Raw, and they seem to be closer than ever. And so it'll be interesting to see if Jay decides to take out his anger on Roman for the years of manipulation and subjugation, or he just reinforces his bloodline and goes after Sammy, and you lead towards a really hot tag team title match at WrestleMania. I will say that all this is fantastic. It's the best thing going in WWE, and like it's one of the few things that make the show like you have to see these segments. Like you can pretty much, I mean, the way that I've been approaching it, there's a lot in the shows in general that I can skip, but I have to watch all the Bloodline segments because that is really entertaining. My issue, not with this in particular because this is a fantastic story, but it does make Cody feel like an afterthought.
A little bit.
After winning the Rumble, because he had that press conference talking about his opportunity. So like you're building towards this really emotional, heated match that you should be doing at Montreal between Sammy and Roman or whoever else is involved in the bloodline, whichever way you want to do it. This highly emotional thing. And then that's going to cut away, and then you're just, it's just a feud for the title. Because really, Cody doesn't have any issue with Roman. He just wants the title. Mm-hmm. And that feels really lame compared to this. So I know the story is about Cody wants to win a title, but that's the thing. It's like it's about Cody and the title. It's not about Cody and Roman. Whereas this is about Sammy and Roman. The title could be involved in it, but it's a more heated personal rivalry, which is so much more compelling as a WrestleMania main event than guy goes after the title when it could be literally anybody as the champion, and it's about Cody just winning the title. So even though I'm not, again, I was opposed to the idea of Cody winning the Royal Rumble, I'm opposed to the fact that it doesn't feel like, and again, it's the same thing we said with Rhea Ripley, it doesn't feel like a WrestleMania main event.
You know what it feels like? The years where there are two champions.
Yeah.
And that Cody's fighting the other guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't want to fucking take one of those belts off of Roman. And it's like, maybe that's going to bite you in the ass in the long run. Like, we had plenty of suggestions. Plenty of other people have had plenty of suggestions. If you take that title off of Roman, I don't know who the fuck they would put against Cody that would end up making sense, especially now at this point, to be like, hey, it's February. We got a new champion out of nowhere for no reason other than for somebody else for Cody to beat. But the idea behind it is just like you said, like people are going to want to see Sami Zayn against Roman Reigns. And once you move that out of Elimination Chamber, what are you going to do to heat up the Cody thing? How many weeks
do you have between Chamber and Mania?
Chamber is the 18th, I think, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. 18th is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I just don't think you can make it as a compelling a rivalry between the two of them in 6 weeks. Then you've essentially spent a year doing this with Cody, not with Sammy and the Bloodline. So that's you can't replicate that in 6 weeks.
I think you have to go for the juggler quick, but I think there's enough there that you can make this mean something. Because you can talk about the fact that Dusty saw more of a star in Roman than he ever did in his own son. Or you could talk about how, hey, you put the first crack in the Shield and I'll never forgive you for it. And, you could go a whole many different emotional routes with this. They just have to be willing to go there. And I think that there's a chance they can still do it.
I just think you'll feel empty. I think people are happy with the idea of Cody winning the Rumble, but then it's almost like detrimented by this segment, because after this segment, everyone will just want to see Sami beat Roman. This is the first time that people actually because you saw at the start of this match, one of the things I noted is that Roman comes out, everyone has their finger to the sky in the crowd. Like pretty much everyone is like he's their guy. It's he's the heel in this, and they do like Kevin Owens, but everyone was behind Roman. But then after this, everyone was chanting "Fuck you, Roman."
Yeah, they were.
I like that. I thought that was good.
So Sami makes Roman a heel, because otherwise Roman is just the cool heel. Whereas
you don't think
Sami
that
makes him a heel you actually want to
personal?
do.
You don't think they can get personal enough to where they might get there with Cody?
Not to the level that they have with Sami. And essentially, like, if you have Sami have a new idea is like, okay, Sami's the match at Montreal, and we just have him fight Roman there and lose, then I just don't think that people will be like, people would just go with that and say, okay, we need to find some way of making it a triple threat match at Mania.
And I don't think Cody versus Sami versus Roman ends with Cody winning the title and people being happy because they'd root for Sami.
No, I mean, I was under the impression before all this stuff happened that, like, if you're going to go with Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania, well, the only way you can end it is that Roman beats Cody. Like, people aren't really thinking about that possibility. There seems to be a lot of people are laser focused because that is the whole story that Cody came back to win the world title. But there is a very real possibility, because it's happened twice before already, that Roman beats the guy that wins the Royal Rumble.
If they do that, I think it's solely to find a spot where Cody can win the belt at the Garden. But I kind of just...
I think, like, I'd say Cody doesn't need to beat Roman for the title, or he doesn't need to even beat Roman at WrestleMania for the title. And I just don't think it's as big a moment. I think we'll see, because, like, I can't, like, fortune tell or anything along those lines, but I think that the longer you continue to make the bloodline the main focus and how much intensity you build around this, because fundamentally, like, you could almost put to the point of, like, Cody won the Royal Rumble and then just saw that Roman was beating the shit out of him. Why didn't Cody just come out and save him? I know it's not his business.
That's a huge issue in wrestling in general.
Here's where I think that they might go. I don't think that this is the right decision necessarily. I don't know what I would do. Look, fundamentally, I would have put Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns before this, to where you don't run into this situation, I think. But I think that they might have it in mind to have Cody, Kevin, and Sami in some sort of match against Roman, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy. Maybe it's a 6-man tag at Elimination Chamber. The belt's not on the line because nobody's going to believe that Roman's going to lose the title anyway or something. And they don't do Roman versus Sami. And instead they just go, Jey Uso is an unknown in this, and the 3 baby faces lose because Jey decides to ultimately turn on them. And then you get your Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens team up against the Usos at Mania, and Cody goes up against Roman. But like I said, I don't think that this is necessarily the best way of going about that, because one of the things is, what the fuck you do with Solo Sikoa? Like, the guy just does nothing at Mania? That kind of sucks.
He'll fight Randy or Riddle. Whichever one is healthy. I think, like I said, my fear is...
I didn't think about the Riddle thing.
Modern booking of Mania concerns me in the sense that if they think that it's enough to just say for 5 weeks, undesirable to undeniable, and just acknowledge me, we have a problem. But if you really get visceral and personal, you can tell a very good story in 5 to 6 weeks between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns.
It's just, how do you transition out of the Sami Zayn thing in a way that people don't think you're kind of pushing him to the side, you know?
You have Jey make his stance at Chamber, and then you have Kevin and Sammy go, all right, well, now we're just going to we're going to make sure that they're not around for Roman at WrestleMania because we're going to beat them. Tag titles.
Here's another thing. All right, maybe they do this. Now that we're talking about that, and I was just thinking, like, what about they do with Solo Sikoa? Because they got to do something for Cody at Chamber. And he didn't do anything with anybody that seems to make any sense to me to be like, okay, well, Baron Corbin got really annoyed at his elimination, so he's going to pick a fight with him. Maybe it's Cody against Solo Sikoa at Elimination Chamber. Kind of like Roman.
You're the muscle, so keep him busy.
Yeah, like you go take care of this threat to my title and take him out before we have to worry about him for WrestleMania. So that way you just give Cody somebody to beat. It's feuding with the Bloodline and doing all that. And it's Sami Zayn against Roman Reigns title match. Jimmy Uso's in the corner of Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens is in the corner of Sami Zayn. Jey Uso is the one that's in between. You could still do that story, and then Jey Uso screws over Sami Zayn, and it's like, fuck you. Okay, well, we're going to go after the tag titles. Maybe that's where they're going.
Maybe. Either way, I think there's a lot of good pieces.
In the meantime, it's weird that they're doing this whole SmackDown tag team title thing, because then it's like, and then somewhere along the lines there, the Usos are just going to like have a match against like fucking Imperium or something. Like, huh? Or probably Braun Strowman and Ricochet, maybe at this point.
I think that just exists. They probably got a wild hair up their ass and were like, defend them separately. But since they won the other belts, they can just gain them here and then do the Undisputed tag title match.
Frankie brings up a good point. Do you guys think that the tag team match, if they go with Usos and Sammy and Kevin, would be a justifiable main event for night one?
Yes.
I think it could be. I mean, I probably would go towards with the women just because they probably would feel like they should. But if not that, I mean, unless we get some kind of random mass Stone Cold Steve Austin match like we got last year, John Cena versus Austin Theory for the United States title stands a very good chance.
I think that if you're not splitting the belts, like that one weird rumor was where it was like, it'll be Drew and Seth or whatever. And if you don't build the women properly, yeah, why the fuck wouldn't it? Why shouldn't it be a tag team title match?
That'd be a first. For the first time ever.
And they like that.
Well, ultimately, that is the 2023 Royal Rumble pay-per-view. As I said, we were going to break down here, and it's 2:30 in the morning. What time is it right there in the UK, Callum?
It's 7:30.
7:30.
Yeah. So, obviously, we want to thank everybody for joining us in for this and telling us your opinions for the live chat. If you're listening elsewhere and you were dropping your opinions on this post, listening to this live, thank you for doing that as well. Make sure that you are following us all over the place, including smark@mama.com for any and all updates that are going to be happening on this road to WrestleMania, because it could be a very bumpy ride. It could end up having some really interesting twists and turns. There are tons of different things that we still have to break down when it comes to 2 nights worth of a WrestleMania card that we don't know is going to play out over the course of the next 3 months. So we've got a lot more other than just like our predictions here that are going on. And we got a lot coming your way outside of just the pure WrestleMania stuff too. We've got the next main event for this podcast is going to be the NXT Vengeance Day predictions, but we're also going to be doing something from the Pick Your Poison tier on the Patreon. Magpie has sponsored a Starrcade 1999 fantasy booking. So we're going to break down what we would do if we were in Vince Russo's shoes from back then. So if you're interested in more legacy content, that's coming your way. Of course, after Vengeance Day, we're going to get into some of the things like the Smark Madness tournament. It'll happen sometime around that March range. So I'll be kind of working on some ideas of where we're going there in February. Eventually, we're going to do a Call the Spot on the card for Elimination Chamber on the website. Maybe we'll do something Darkcast related for that. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Chamber itself, we'll break that down. We got AEW Revolution coming up at the beginning of March. lot of Hall of Fame type stuff, which they haven't clarified anything yet for, but hey, they got time. And, a lot of interesting things over those next few months. So go to Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Go to smarkoutmoment.com. Like and share and follow and favorite all the good things that we got going on there, as well as fanboysanonymous.com. And go to anthonymango.com and click on all these other different types of profiles. Follow me on like Letterboxd and whatnot. I'm all at Tony Mango at most of them. And you can follow what these guys are up to and stay tuned for what they are cooking up as well.
Yep, follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. Check out all of my work on Fightful and WrestleZone. Throughout the course of this podcast, several articles have gone up on Fightful.com from the post-show press conference, including Triple H talking about The Rock. Spoiler, it's the same thing it always is. Bray Wyatt talking about the Pitch Black match. Rhea Ripley saying she briefly dislocated her knee in the Royal Rumble.
Oof.
Lots of fun stuff up on Fightful.com right now. Also, lots of good stuff on WrestleZone.com. Follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. I always appreciate the support. Honestly, more than you guys know. Just every little thing really helps boost morale. And now I will give you to Kelm.
You can find me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. You can check out the power rankings. It's a bit out of date now. The Rumble's happened. But you can check out yesterday's now, power rankings to see what the landscape was like prior to the Royal Rumble, and next week's one where it will be adjusted with some Royal Rumble based results included onto that. And the Fantasy League, which has been updated since the Rumble took place, so you can see it's all up to date with the Rumble winners getting their additional points added to them, which is very useful for me because they're both on my team.
Ooh.
That's helped me out. Helped me extend my lead a little bit.
Yeah, once he said that, I was like, all right, I had zero chance of ever winning anything. Okay, goodbye.
of ever winning anything.
And so, depending on what the scores are for the Royal Rumble, predictions that myself and Tony did will decide who gets to potentially double the points of one of their stars heading into Elimination Chamber. And then it'll just be one pay-per-view cycle away before WrestleMania and the end of the Fantasy League. So if you want to stay tuned with the scores as they continue up until that final week, check out WWEFantasyLeague.com.
And I will be continuing to calculate some of these different scores. I'm, about 3/4 of the way done with a lot of those. So once I do that, and once I write up another thing for Bleacher Report, and once I write up all the other statistics and we get other calculations for just some clarification of like, okay, for sure was Baron Corbin the shortest time and so on and so forth. Maybe tomorrow, maybe I'll record something. Probably not tonight. I would assume that I'm probably going to be a little bit too tired at the end of doing all that, but stay tuned. We'll have something up on there in due time, and we will break down anything else that we need to break down over the course of this next week. Got another episode of the Hot Tags coming up too, so hey, maybe we get some fun things on Monday Night Raw that we can talk about, then kind of backtrack and talk about these things all over again. But in whatever fashion it is, we want to thank you for joining us for the 2023 Royal Rumble post show. Just stay tuned for what is happening next by subscribing and all. And until then, we will see you later. So thank you all again. This has been another Smark Out moment. We're being counted out.